you know?
Depends where the sales consummated.
I'd like to bring the Monday, October 9th, 2023, Whitehall Township regular board meeting for the Whitehall Township Commissioners to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence for our men and women in uniform and our first responders.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Whitehall Township has an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing and to review all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. This includes taking meaningful actions that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected characteristics. The township, in its land use decisions, does not discriminate against persons based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status, and reviews all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. Public comments made on the basis of bias and stereotype concerning people within these protected classes will not be taken into consideration by the township in its deliberations. I'd like to announce that we held an executive session on Monday the 2nd for legal reasons. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All aboard.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Dinder?
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. And what do we got left here? Oh, that guy on the end there.
Atia?
Tia, yes. Commissioner Tia
Yes.
and President.
Yes. Courtesy of the floor, comments for non-agenda items will be strictly monitored to no more than 3 minutes per person. Whenever you're ready.
Karen Pashevko.
Karen Pashevko, 3303 Musselman Court. 4 things. Number 1, thank you for your service to our community. It's a tough job, and I appreciate your time. Number 2, the Cornell Lab of Ornithology has a website called ebird.org, and Whitehall Parkway is on there, and people have identified 125 species of birds. So this is a national website, so when people are traveling, this is a good promo for our parkway and our community. Number 3, I sent you folks an article from the press, the Parkland Press, about farmland preservation in South Whitehall Township. And I just thought it was interesting that the Newhart's farm farms more than 3,000 acres. They have 50 landlords who support their farming. And one of the breweries, 8 Oaks Farm Distillery from Nutropoli, actually buys corn from Newhart. And, you know, they all kind of mention how important farmland preservation is. So I just thought that maybe this would kind of inspire our work as we try to preserve farmland in the township. And there is a meeting tomorrow night, South Whitehall Township Municipal Building, from 6 to 8. I may go, I don't know. Okay, the last thing is, our comprehensive plan, specifically LU-11, encourages open space development concept. And there's a lot of discussion in there about, you know, preserving 25 to 60% of the total land area. And there's talk about not clear-cutting trees and farmland preservation. And I understand that an ordinance was never enacted to actually back this up. Now, I understand that this thing is 25 years old, and we have an election, but I'd just like to ask, is there a possibility that something could be done, some sort of process could be started to actually put some teeth into this. I think the people want this. People pack this room, and they're concerned about development, and the response is, well, we don't have an ordinance. But it's here. So is there anything that we can do?
Refer to L&L and have them research it and get back to the full board with some type of recommendation.
Okay,
Fair enough?
yeah? Do you guys
What
need
is it
to?
exactly you want researched?
Well, I guess, number one, to look at what's in this wording, in this comprehensive plan.
Is there a number at what you're looking at, please?
LU-11.
LU?
Yeah, LU-11. I can make copies of this and send it to somebody.
Is that our comprehensive plan?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So, I mean, I can go through it and send Larissa segments.
That's all right, we'll dig it out. LU11, our comprehensive plan. And what is it exactly you want looked at?
Well, just like, this LU11 talks about open space development concept, and that goes into detail. Then there's other areas where it talks about the importance of preserving natural areas. I mean, there are several pages of this. So
We'll have
I
them
can make.
We'll have them research it and see what they
Okay.
can come up
I
with.
mean, I can make a copy of what I've read and send it to Larissa, and let's just see what.
Yeah, send what you read to Larissa,
Okay,
please.
so how do I get on the L&L agenda?
It's too late to be on October's, it would
So
go
for
to
November?
November's
Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
because of advertising.
I just want to verify really quick, Jack. Of course, you have the shade tree stuff on the agenda for Wednesday, right? For L&L? I told them, yeah, okay. Because I told them yes, and then I was really like, I should make sure.
It's there, it's there.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay, thanks.
So I was right. Okay, thank you.
You should have asked the person who really knows.
Sorry.
Andrea Hoagland?
Hello, my name's Andrea Hoagland, 51 Kemet Avenue. I'm here because, I know I got 3 minutes. Did we start? 3 minutes? Okay.
You can address.
The phone,
Can you
we,
please state your address? I'm sorry.
51 Kemet Avenue, Andrea Hoagland.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. We need on our phone contact, how do we contact people that are over you? Okay? I had a situation in here, and everybody knows about it because everybody tells everything, okay? I shouldn't have to figure out how to report the mayor if the mayor's not doing right, or the commissioner or anybody else. On the phone, you said you can record us, so could you also put on there contact information if you have problems with we cannot at this level solve this. So I can go to the next part. Okay, I was retaliated against, and you know I was. I was lied to by this commissioner, and why? I asked you about those dump trucks. Every human being I talked to said the same thing. They do the zoning. They give the permits for the routes in and out for so when they stopped going Pershing Boulevard and they switched over to Kemet, who gave them the permit to do it? When I brought my photos in of them people blocking my driveway with those big trucks, no one here ever asked me, can I hold the photo or whatever, so you could give them whatever violation that they should have, because they shouldn't have been on Kemet Avenue. But you didn't do that because, again, I feel you and Tony sent them to me. And there is a problem here. Every time I ask a question, I can't get an answer. It's been more than a year, Mayor, since we had our meeting. You never contacted me, your office never contacted me, but you did, because I got retaliated against. That's why you never got back in touch with me. How is that to handle inquiries and complaints? What is the policy? What is our policy? You're in leadership, you violated our trust, and you brought a lawsuit against us, okay? Instead of keeping your staff safe and letting them feel comfortable coming to work and stepping down, you stayed in position. So what policies can we correct and change to deal with this situation? One, saying whatever you want to say. I said, I brought you information I'm being retaliated against. It all started when I had communications with the mayor and Tony, the head of that department, okay? This man up here, Joseph, says that I should call the police. The police, the mayor, all of you work together. So stop just saying whatever you want to say to a human being, okay? If the lieutenant governor or the governor was in your face, you wouldn't have treated them the way you treated me. You wouldn't have met me at the front door and tell me to meet you at the back door. I would have been walked through this building like any other person. When I came to a meeting here, a gentleman said, hey, you want to come through here with me? So it's not a problem that I couldn't come through there because it was a private space, okay? We need change. You, Tony, the guy Ken that says he's going to be sitting up there, he put in his paperwork, you all said the same thing to me. Generational. Your family's been here for generations. The longevity. You had to be a part of Whitehall community. Your family had to buy a home in 19 whatever, okay? But this is the one that kills me the most. How do you know Allentown? And Ken threw Reading in there. Allentown and Reading is like the worst human beings. How can you represent our township when y'all have a bias? If we ever have to work in liaison with Allentown, Reading, or any other place that y'all just don't agree with, and to this day, none of you have told me how you know those kids on that park, because Tony said, I took them down because Allentown kids was playing at that park. It's a community park, not even a half mile from my house. Okay, this type of stuff needs to stop, and it's because of the mindset, the outdated mindset. Every time I've been in a meeting and something really important came up, y'all had to turn to a woman. You had to ask the zoning lady. You had to talk to your secretary. You have to ask the lady in treasury. How come none of y'all never know the answer? You vote on things, you yay and nay, but when somebody asks you a question to explain why you do your vote, none of you can answer why you personally said yes to that vote. You always turn it over to these folks over here. You threatened to sue me, okay? I don't know if you was going to sue me personally, you was going to use this gentleman, the solicitor over here, or what. When you got brought up on charges for your sexual misconduct, did you use township lawyer or did you have to get a private lawyer? Because like I told you in that meeting, I would have to probably mortgage my house if you brought a lawsuit against me. For what reason? Just to tie me up, okay? You go beyond yourselves when you have a personal in it. You told me I humiliated Tony, and that's how I got all that problems. When we left this building, you made me walk to the back door. What did you do? You locked yourself out this door. You embarrassed yourself. I was still recording us because you allowed me to record.
Ma'am.
Okay? So if I embarrassed Tony and got all that retribution, you're bigger, you're over him. So I'm just asking, we need policy changes. We need, when somebody does something wrong, they need to pay for that. What example are you setting for your workers?
Ma'am.
You can do anything and keep your job in this township if you are part of the right organizations.
I would just like to say to you that I sat with you for coming up on an hour, talking about problems that you had. I did everything I could
No, you
to
did,
help
you
you.
did do some changes, and you know
So-
you did.
I'm just saying,
But so you didn't threaten me with a lawsuit. You didn't have me walk to the back door and let me in the back door. You didn't isolate me in this room after you have was already being questioned and stuff about your conduct with people. There was, like I said that day, there was no secretary, there was no Tony, there was no lawyer that threatened to take my home, basically. Okay, and that's why policy has to change. You need to say why you do things and not just yay, nay. I'm sorry, I took up all your time, and this is another thing. The 3 minutes was probably implemented for me. The news, the website, we talked about that, and it did get upgraded. You told me it's gonna take 3 months. I knew it would take some brain here 2 to 3 days because they were capable of doing it, but you held us back. You don't let us have the best people for the job. If you look at me and you throw me away, then I could have been the best person for that job. That's what my township does. You hire people you like and what makes you comfortable. You don't look for the right candidate. Because if they don't make you feel comfortable, you're never gonna, you're losing out as a township. I'm sorry I took up all your time. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Lorianne Fainall.
Lorianne Fainall, 3107 North 3rd Street, Whitehall. As a taxpayer and a daughter and granddaughter of veterans, and a candidate for Whitehall Township Commissioner, I am appalled at what you all have done to remove Andy Roman, who is a U.S. Air Force veteran who suffered a stroke in November of 2022. You all should be ashamed of yourselves. It makes me sick to my stomach that you all can be so heartless and cruel to remove someone who suffered a stroke in front of your damn eyes, especially a veteran who's currently recovering. I recently got to see Andy Roman in person. We discussed many things, and he's making progress, but none of you would know that because none of you offered to see him in person prior to the township being served with legal papers. What is considered an excused absence? What medical documentation is needed for an excused absence? Who is the person designated to receive supported documentation for an excused absence while maintaining the commissioner privacy? Which commissioner specifically should ask for documentation? Why is there not a vote during public meetings to see if commissioners agree that the absence is unexcused during the meeting? Instead, we hear, quote, to note, Commissioner such and such is unexcused absence. Andy has asked for a reasonable accommodation that he can attend virtually. In my opinion, this is a reasonable accommodation. I don't care what the Home Rule Charter says, because apparently it lacks common sense with those who may have a temporary or permanent disability who want to serve their community. I also want to remind you, on June 12th, I saw Frank Clark struggling to get through the public meeting door in his motorized scooter, trying to hold the door open and move forward in his scooter. I went over to help him, but he just made it through. The public meeting doors are not automated, making it difficult for those with wheelchairs and motorized scooters to get through. I also want to point out, when there is a hot topic on the agenda and this room is packed, the breezeway door is packed with people, will also make it people who have a motorized scooter and a wheelchair to get through the door. It's packed, you're not going to be able to get through. Due to your lack of compassion and empathy, Andy Roman has filed a lawsuit to defend his rights, which means our taxpayer dollars will have to defend your actions. This can be eliminated by reinstating Andy Roman, give him the reasonable accommodation to attend virtually. A special table does not count, as there are still physical limitations. However, Andy is very mentally well aware, and he speaks well. It is also disgusting that none of you could have gave Andy Roman a courtesy phone call if he didn't attend a third meeting and that a vote would come to remove him, although it's not required for the township to notify him. A simple courtesy to call Andy Roman or send him a letter. I also do not want to hear about how you care about your veterans or being veterans yourself. Your actions prove what type of person you all are by removing an Air Force veteran, Andy Roman. I hope you all seeking re-election will be ousted by the voters for your bad judgment, and anyone seeking to be elected mayor who voted to remove Andy Roman, who is a veteran of our township, should not be elected to be our next mayor. Thank you.
Good evening, gentlemen. I come before the Board of Commissioners this evening to express my concern as well as other residents of Whitehall Township regarding the unanimous decision to remove Andy Roman as commissioner due to his so-called unexcused absences from attending meetings. As you all know, Mr. Roman suffered a major stroke during a meeting which you all apparently witnessed. I was not here. This is a very unfortunate situation that he nor anyone else should have to experience. I can sympathize with Mr. Roman, as I'm sure probably the four of you at least may have seen what happened with my husband at one time at a commissioners meeting. Mr. Warren was kind enough to take me to the emergency room following the ambulance, but you know, a situation like this is just terrible. But no one should have to experience this. And most recently, my husband underwent open heart surgery. But anyway, this man was hospitalized for 2 months. And he's recuperating at home. And like Lorianne Fainall just said, I met Mr. Roman for the first time last week. I never laid eyes on him before, didn't know him, but I had the pleasure of meeting this fine man. In all of your eyes, what constitutes an unexcused absence, Mr. Marks? How did you try to accommodate Mr. Roman as it was stated in an article, in every possible way, and that you went above and beyond. You wouldn't even allow him to participate via Zoom or any kind of visual, what do I want to say? I'm just so upset, I'm sorry. This upsets me. I really feel as though you all are a disgrace to our community for doing this to Mr. Roman. I think it's totally unacceptable. You all had said about unexcused absence. What constitutes an excused absence? Y'all knew what happened to this poor man. I can't help but to think that y'all are in cahoots with each other during this whole ordeal. You could have at least left him participate via Zoom, because you all were having meetings during the pandemic, and you were holding meetings virtually. Mr. Roman is an elected official, and we, the residents of Whitehall Township, should have a say as to whether he stays or he goes. And Mr. Sloniker, can you please sit up instead of looking like you're falling asleep?
I'll address that to you at the end of the meeting, why I'm not doing that.
Excuse me?
I'll address that to you at the end of the meeting.
That's fine.
I will.
So my wish and my concern is that you would have reconsideration to reinstate Mr. Roman as a commissioner as he is recuperating from home. And reach out to this man, check on him, see how he's doing, see how he's progressing. I seen him in a wheelchair, and I know his hand movements were not very good when I seen him. He can talk very well, and he responds very well. I did not see him walk, but I know the movements of his hands were not good. And it's really a sad shame for this man. And I really wish you would all take into consideration to reinstate him. Thank you for your time.
Marty, and I don't know, is it Croboth? Croboth?
Okay, Marty Kroboth, 3617 Park Street, Whitehall. For almost 30 years, I worked in recreation. And from what I hear from people telling me now, I don't get around all the parks. I guess we're tearing up Jefferson Street basketball court. Now, when I cut the grass, and by the way, Jack, I hear you hired another guy. You got two guys doing my job. I'd like to talk to you about my pension later on. So anyway, all you have to do, when I cut grass, when I was done, you just went around and sprayed. These weeds get underneath the asphalt, they break it up. In the wintertime, you get water in there, ice, it breaks it up, just like your driveway. We're spending money to do stuff like that, and all because your supervision here sucks. I was here with the last three supervisors. We call them the three stooges: the superintendent, the public works director, and the recreation supervisor. Between the three of them, or between two of them, they couldn't spell cat. It became the C and the T. And the other one was worried about his hair. So I think there's got to be some accountability with the supervisors around here. It's not the workers, it's the supervisors. Yous were, past tense, hiring lousy, incompetent supervisors. John Rackus was a diesel mechanic before he came here. He was superintendent. He was a D student in high school, for God's sakes.
Sir, we shouldn't really disparage
Okay,
other
whatever,
people.
strike the marks then. All I'm saying is from what I understand, the one guy they have in public works now is pretty good. I don't know about the others. But the supervisors got to start doing their job, and maybe these parks will look a little better than they do now, because the people are complaining to me. And I'm actually getting tired of it. I mean, it makes me feel good when they say it doesn't look as good as when you were there, but I'm a taxpayer too. I don't like to see basketball courts and tennis courts ripped up because they're not spraying the weeds. That's something minor, but it saves a lot of money. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. That's all for courtesy of the floor. Public hearing and voting on ordinances. Bill number 33-2023, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the rendering of professional services for work on the comprehensive park, recreation, open space, and trail plan update and the Jefferson Street Recreation Center feasibility study in accordance with Section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Any questions from the board? Or do I have a motion?
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it, Warren.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please pull the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
and President Marks.
Yes.
Bill passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 34-2023, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the purchase of hardware and software for the plate reader technology for the police department in accordance with Section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
and Commissioner Ginder, oh, we did Ginder, okay. President Marks.
Yes.
Bill passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 35-2023, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the installation of a new fire police truck chassis for fire department in accordance with Section 3.20 in the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
Go ahead, Charles.
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
and President Marks.
Yes.
Bill passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 36-2023. This is a first hearing, so there will be no comments. An ordinance amending Article 41? 41 Scope, Application and Exclusion Section 1-247, Exclusions by Contract Amount, and Article 43, Section 1.261, Written and Telephonic Price Quotations per First-Class Township Code, and Article 43, Section 1-262, Contract less than statutory limits to raise the minimum bidding requirements as provided by application law and the First-Class Township Code. Do I have a motion? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. That's,
Sitting next to me.
Yep. yeah, exactly. Okay, moving on. Public hearing and voting on resolutions. Resolution number 3280, a resolution requesting a Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development Commonwealth Finance Authority local share assessment, Northampton and Lehigh counties, grant for purchase of automated external defibrillators. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Warren.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
and President Marks.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3281, an ordinance amending the Whitehall Township Employees Deferred Compensation Plan in order to comply with the Secure Act as per Internal Revenue Service Code 457B as amended. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Poll the board.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
and President Marks.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3282, a resolution amending the Whitehall Township Employees Deferred Compensation Plan in order to comply with the CARES Act as per Internal Revenue Source Service Code, Section 457B, as amended. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
and President Marks.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3283, Community and Economic Development Commonwealth Finance Authority Local Share Assessment, Northampton and Lehigh Counties grant for the purchase of a foam trailer for the fire department. Do I have a motion?
I'll move Fisher.
Do I have a second? Attia. Any questions from the board?
I think we talked last week about, this trailer is primary to support the tank farm and trailers in the township. And have we ever done an inspection, or are we privy to their emergency response plan for that facility? Do we know? Have we done a commercial inspection? I think we should know what their emergency response plan is, since it's in the heart of our township and it's in our neighborhoods.
Well, I know that the fire chief and our fire department works closely with
Okay,
them, and there is a model in place.
Okay, that's what I was asking, and, you know, I think a trailer like this that primarily serves their needs, they're the big corporation, I'd like to see them
Oh,
help
absolutely,
support the financing of this trailer.
absolutely.
That's all I have.
Any other comments? Any comments from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren. Aye. Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
and President Marks.
Yes.
Resolution passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, under other, motion to designate Friday, October 27, 2023, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. as the official trick-or-treat night in Whitehall Township with a rain date of Saturday, October 28, 2023. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second Fisher.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Attia. Yes. Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
and let's see, we got and President Marks.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion number 2, to approve the reappointment of Elizabeth Fox to serve on the Whitehall Township Recreation Commission, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. And President Marks.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion number 3, to approve the reappointment of John Kelly to serve on the Whitehall Township Recreation Commission, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Mr. D?
Mick D., 145 South Second Street in Copley. My comments involve the other two motions. I had the pleasure and honor of serving with Mr. Kelly, Andrea, and Bob Miller on the Recreation Commission. All three are incredibly dedicated to Whitehall Township. John's one of the smartest people I know, really respect him. Andrea does a great job with the senior center over at West Caddy. What can you say about Bobby Miller? He's absolutely wonderful, so I just want to publicly thank them for their service to Whitehall Township. Thank you.
I concur. Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Go ahead, please poll the board.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. President Marks.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion number 4, to approve the reappointment of Andrea Schumack to serve on the Whitehall Township Recreation Commission, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Any comments from the board? Any comments from the floor? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
President Marks.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion number 5, to approve the reappointment of Robert Miller to serve on the Whitehall Township Recreation Commission, term expiring December 31st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion. Warren.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Ginder. Any comments from the board?
I just want to piggyback on what Joe and Mick said. These last three candidates have done a lot for recreation in the township. And Robert Miller, I don't know how many decades he has behind his belt, and he's still going, so great man.
Any other comments? Please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Fisher,
Aye.
Commissioner Attia,
Yes.
and President Marks.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes, 0 nays.
Discussion items. There are none, so we're going to move on to the reports of public officials. Mr. Attia, I'll start with you.
Just want to touch on recreation. There's a lot of really nice things happening right now. I just met with Brandon Hibbler, our rec director, and the members of all the parks earlier last week. It's just nice to see Brandon's really providing a lot of, I think, visibility with our parks and communication to the township. It's just been nice to see. So I think there's a lot of good things going on there. Also, I know we voted on it earlier. Glad that the rec plan is underway, and I feel pretty comfortable with the group that we went with, and just want to publicly thank. There was a lot of volunteers in the township who volunteered to be on that board to help us select who we were going to go with, and anytime we get people from our township to step up and volunteer, that's a great thing. So I just wanted to thank them. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Fisher?
I just have a few good things tonight, and they are good things. This Sunday, October 15th, the EAC will be doing its Adopt a Highway. We'll be meeting 8:30 a.m. at the Wood Street Playground and cleaning up along Front Street. Karen? Okay, along Front Street. So we'd strongly encourage as many people to come as possible. I mean, this is literally how we clean up Whitehall. This is how we keep Whitehall clean. So preferably also bring reflective clothing. There will be reflective vests provided, but we'd certainly like to see as many people out there as possible. Second thing I want to mention, I do not know if I mentioned this, but the Eagle Scout project has been approved by council in the Parkway. The Scout is currently in communication with EAC along with a few other township officials, moving that project forward. The goal is to get posts in the ground, to put up the signs in the Parkway in November, and then over the winter to actually get the signs drawn up, put together, installed. So that is moving forward. The other thing I had, myself, the mayor, Lee, who is not here tonight, and Vito Gallo had a very productive discussion on moving forward with EV chargers in the township and ways in which WTICTA can support private businesses who would want to apply for grants from the state. One of the things that's being proposed is that either in the township newsletter or through some other means, we get the word out that private businesses are willing, that WTICTA is willing to partner with these private businesses if they want to apply for the state grants. Jeff can correct me, but I think last year Lehigh County applied, and I think there were only 2 that were given in the whole county.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's driven by the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission. They kind of prioritize where they're needed.
Right. So one thing that's going to happen, at least with the township and WTICTA, is we can at least move forward on that project. And we do want to actually liaison with the county and let them know that this is actually an opportunity, actually a possibility of something that can be moved forward with. So it's a great opportunity to see this like public-private partnership moving forward. There were a few other items that were discussed, but, you know, it does look like it's moving forward. And as everyone knows, you know, I'm not going to be here come January, so, because I chose not to run again. But I'm kind of hoping that, you know, at least the momentum, the seeds that we plant will at least be eventually reaped. So I'd definitely like to see that move forward. It's a great opportunity. So that's all I got. Good night, good luck, and God bless.
Mr. Ginder?
Yeah. Frank, you've been too quiet all night. And good news on Mechanicsville.
Yes, we got word back from PennDOT. They are not requiring us to do an alternate engineering study, which was going to take up a lot of time for their, I think it was section 209 in their design manual. So I said our options are we're not doing a thing, and we're going to put your names on a sign as the people that were responsible for slowing this thing down. So they got back to me last week and said, oh, okay, we're not going to need to do that study. So we're going in with the plans back to the design engineer team without making the formal submission. They said they want to look at it, and they'll hopefully give it their blessing, then we'll submit it formally and get our permit. So that's where we're at. We're that close.
Thanks, Frank.
Yep.
Mayor, Chestnut Street Rail Trail crossing, striping. Are we going to get to that this year yet?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, it doesn't take long to do that.
Yeah.
How about cutting the growth away,
The growth at the,
where the rail trail comes
the rail
across
trail,
Chestnut Street?
yeah.
I would say heading northwest is the worst when you look out, coming from the barn side is the worst. That's where I get the most complaints at the rail trail meeting. People have to actually walk out on the Chestnut Street to see what's
To
coming.
get westbound, you're saying there.
On the trail north, yeah, I would say westbound on the trail.
Yeah.
The barn side of the trail, let's put it that way, of Chestnut Street. At the rail trail meetings, that's the biggest complaint. They have to step out on Chestnut Street to see what's coming.
We can get that cut back. I don't know if we can move any ground there to lower it.
We've had this discussion over the years. It's not so much moving ground. Yeah, moving ground would be nice, but we always get there, well, nobody wants to deal with that. And you have the owner on the other side really doesn't want to do. But cutting it down would be a lot. And while they're out there cutting, if they could walk across Chestnut Street and cut the other side, and that would be the end of that problem. Probably wouldn't take that long. Then it's done. It's just a safety thing. And you get tired of hearing the same thing at these trail meetings every month because the stuff doesn't get done. Next one I have is the fire services study. We were going to talk about this in September,
Yep.
and now we're in October. When are we going to go through with this and do what we're supposed to do after it was paid for?
It's going to go on to the next month.
In November?
Yes,
Positively?
yes.
Absolutely. Somebody's going to be here and discuss this,
Absolutely.
that this board knows that what we paid for, something got done, and something we can move forward with.
Yes.
Okay. Everybody out there heard that? Hold his feet to the fire. That's all I have. Oh, no, yes, that's all I have. Thank you.
Just wanted to let people know that they've finally started the fencing around the retention ponds on South Church Street in front of the development. So they're working on that right now. So that's all.
Warren?
Just want to quickly apologize for being a little late. I was driving back from Maryland. I made it all the way back without a hitch and got on the Route 22 where it was a parking lot tonight. I do have a question. There's a Saldo update on planning, or on the L&L agenda. Do you know what that entails?
That's something Lee's been working with.
And it ultimately won't be an amendment to the Saldo, but it's this amendment this change that the Planning Commission had requested and that we've been working on related to sidewalk,
Oh, yeah, that's, yeah.
they're not waivers, deferrals. So,
Referrals. Okay, all right. It just said Saldo, and I didn't.
yeah, originally, when we met last month, we were talking about doing it as amendment to the Saldo. Lee and I met last week to prepare for next week, and based on that, and you'll hear more about it on Wednesday, we think it can be done in the sidewalk section, which is not in the Saldo, which is quite a bit simpler than amending the Saldo.
Oh, just tagging on to that, I'm not, I probably won't be at L&L, and I'm limited to what I can say there, but in this public meeting, like MacArthur Road, there has always been some discussion as where is the legal right of way? We can't ask somebody to put a sidewalk beyond those bounds, and I would say, if it's a safety reason and there's 15 feet of grass behind it, we can ask. So
That's not what this
I know,
one
but
was,
that's,
and I
that
think
is also an L&L.
Yep.
The sidewalk, a buffer zone. And I don't want to see that buffer be automatically forgotten about just because there might be a legal right-of-way that is, if there's, if the legal right-of-way is too close to the curb line, that sidewalk, there's no reason why the sidewalk, we can consider it being stepped back.
I'm sorry, Jeff. Can you get that down to kind of plain
Um,
English? It's
just
kind
like-
of bouncing around a little.
MacArthur Road, I think there was one time I asked about, why is I don't know if it was Rite Aid, why is the sidewalk at Rite Aid right up against the curb line? And then another place, there's a nice buffer, like St. Luke's, they put a grass buffer. And I think the reasoning, or at one time I was told that, oh, well, that's because of the legal right-of-way. And I think, if you got 15 feet of grass behind it, it would have been nicer to have that sidewalk pushed back.
Mr. Warren, Mr. Ginder, there is a separate item on the L&L agenda, excuse me, can't speak. And I just checked, so Frank, we talked about it briefly last month, but everyone agreed that it was important that Frank,
Yeah, we need
he
Frank.
just
there.
told me he's going to be there Wednesday. So, but it's a separate item on the agenda. so.
That's all I have, thank you.
Some of this, Jeff, with the sidewalks on MacArthur Road, just from my years sitting on the board, there were times when PennDOT told us, no, we don't want any. And then 2 years later, yes, put them alongside MacArthur Road, that's where we want them. And then set them back. It's just been, and PennDOT has the right to tell us that, and
Right.
we have nothing else to say. And that's what it's been over the years. It's not that this board has been yay or nay with these sidewalks on MacArthur Road. It's been what PennDOT tells us we have to abide by. And that's been the problem. They can't make up their mind. It's no different than I'm gonna call them the accessibility cuts on the corners.
Right.
We put them in, and 2 years later, we're told, no, that's not the way they should be. You need to change it. We're changing all of this. So then we have to go back and change some of this stuff. It's like these state and federal people can't make their minds up. And they think that a local municipality has an open cigar box with money like they do, and we don't. We can't print money like the feds can.
I think what got me to speak up about it again is the new school, they put a new sidewalk in, and I can see why a sidewalk would be important right up against the curb line, especially if it's a pickup zone. But then the other tone is you have a bus coming by with a mirror hanging out, you got a sidewalk right there. And I just thought, if it's only a 4-foot wide sidewalk, it could have been stepped back.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, like, we learned the mechanics, but we're at the mercy of PennDOT with some of this stuff.
Fair enough, thank you.
I just want to make a couple comments. Recently, today in the press and on social media, it's been reported that this building is not ADA compliant. That is not a truthful statement. This building is ADA compliant. According to our architects and engineers, the doors were tested. We are completely 100% ADA compliant. Am I correct, Mr. Myers? Exactly. I just want to clarify that. There's been allegations made that this building is not ADA compliant. This building is completely ADA compliant. We spent, excuse me?
Not handicap accessible. Those doors should.
It is handicapped accessible according to federal statute.
Now it's someone in a wheelchair who struggles, Joe. You know that, and I know that. You
It's,
had
it's
Frank
on,
March-
no,
Frank, you struggle to get through the door.
I know, but it doesn't
You
prohibit
struggle.
me from
Doesn't
getting
matter.
in.
Those doors should be automated. Taxpayers come in through that door. They can't get, they have a hard time getting in. That's not including wheelchairs and scooters. I saw people with walkers start getting.
I'll take the gavel for this.
Thank you.
You just had Mr. Clark tell you, you've just had the deputy mayor tell you this building is proper.
It's not accessible enough.
Now, who else do you want to come in the door here and tell us
You know what?
that?
How about make them automated?
Let Mr. Marks continue here.
Make them automated so people can get in here. And I'll make it difficult. for
Now,
them.
continue, President Marks.
We spent almost $400,000 plus to put an elevator in the rear of the building to make the lower level handicapped accessible. The doors were all load tested. I don't disagree, Mrs. Fennell, that these doors should be automated. Deputy Mayor Myers is looking into that and getting pricing to automate these doors. But that doesn't mean that that disqualifies any of our citizens from coming here. There is also a posting on our township website that indicates if you have or need any assistance whatsoever coming into this building, to contact the staff.
True, Joe, but also at times I've come to this building where different people have keys and coming here late. I've seen that from all these
What does
people.
that have to do with handicapped accessibility?
You know what it is? Because when I see people in a wheelchair, Joe, I've been in healthcare 23 years. I've seen a lot more
Mrs.
than
Fennell,
you have.
I am very
I'm passionate.
compassionate
I'm
to
not
people's
changing that.
needs.
These
Move
doors
on.
should be automated.
Move on with
The
your
second one I
comments.
have is, there's been comments made that our fire department is not properly funded. That could not be farther from the truth. We have never refused an appropriation for our fire department. Whitehall Township's problem is just like everyone else's problem, volunteerism. It's a national byproduct. It's not just Whitehall's issue. But I resent the fact that there were allegations made that our fire department is not fully funded. We have never refused an appropriation for this fire department. And what I'm getting at is, to scare the bejesus out of our citizens and make open statements to that fact is wrong. Whitehall's problem is volunteerism, and it's not just our problem, it's everyone else's. And this problem needs to be solved at the county level, the state level, and the federal level. I don't have the answer. I can't create volunteers. We can only reach out to people, ask them to volunteer, and ask them to serve our communities. But I just wanted to put that out there because I feel it's wrong. And misstatements are misstatements, and facts are facts. That's all I have. Mr. Mayor?
I'll follow in Mr. Attia's tracks and talk about the comprehensive park recreation, open space, and trail plan update, along with the Jefferson Street Recreation Center feasibility study grant. This has been a long time coming, and we managed to get both of those grants put together as one process, and it's moving forward. Those of you who haven't been here don't know that Herbert, Rowland, and Grubik were given the right to work here with this grant. It's going to be about an 11-month process, and it's going to tie up whatever we're going to do over the next 10 years at least in recreation. It's going to be, I think, very good thing to have done. The Ironton Rail Trail TASA status meeting was held, and this has been going on for some time too, but the process is slow, and this is going to move forward also to get 36 new parking spaces on Chestnut Street. The long-range transportation plan was discussed at the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, and there were receiving information. The meeting itself was going to be for long-term, and it's going to be 5 to 20 years you're talking about there. That's how far we have to plan ahead. There are some other things, but I will move on now.
I would add on, Mr. Mayor, that there were some projects that were on a wish list for Whitehall Township, one being 3rd and Grape Street. That was added finally to the long-range transportation plan. That doesn't mean it's out there long-term, but if it's not either on the tip or the long-range plan, it can't get funded. And if it's on the, at least on the long-range plan, it could be moved up if it becomes a priority with Riverside Drive coming in. And to me, that's, I'd like to go on record as saying that's an important intersection for Whitehall. With Riverside Drive going in, more traffic on 3rd Street and turning on to Grape Street and bus routes. It's a tough intersection to navigate school buses and Lanta buses. So, thank to staff and the mayor for making sure, and Frank for your team for getting those projects on the plan. Thank you. Sorry to.
Not at all.
You're done?
Yep.
Madam Treasurer?
Friday, I sent the commissioners the reports, the sub-accounts, and the treasurer's disbursement, the cash reimbursement, and the central operating balances for the month of September. And if you have any questions, let me know. And there's 2 things I just want to correct from last month. Commissioner Ginder, you made note, and thank you very much, that the ending balance was the wrong date. I have corrected that and sent it to all, so you all have the right report. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was there was mention that the audit wasn't done. That was the audit prior to me getting here.
That was my
Yeah,
mistake.
Yeah,
I-
so there hasn't been an audit since I'm here. We're in the middle of a SOC audit.
That
but
was my mistake. I was
yeah.
on my old notes with that. We couldn't do an audit, there were no books.
Right,
Okay.
that's it.
That being said, anyone else? Have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
What? Okay, hold on a minute. He would like to go into executive session to discuss something.
Do you intend to take action after the executive session? Okay, so then you can adjourn and then do it before the end of the meeting if you intend to take action after.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Fisher.
Second?
See ya.
Go Phillies. And Eagles, but they don't play tonight. Eagles? Yeah, Phillies are.